Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard, and it's even like when you're explaining this now, it makes me even happier that you are now doing what you love. When it was so disheartening when you first came out of university. Like I'm glad that you get to make these movies now. Then, you know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really it is really nice because you feel like um, you do feel like a sense of earning it, and it's just such a it's really difficult industry to break into,
Hmm.
and to do what you want to do within it. Um, because when I was doing my sort of corporate films and stuff, it was always kind of like I mentioned earlier, it was stuff that you kind of feel like you have to do to pay the bills, but you know that it's not necessarily like morally in line with
Hmm. Hmm. What you
where.
stand for.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's really hard. Yeah.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
you're selling your soul a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a nice thing. And I think it is a wonderful story about a middle-aged man on a farm. I mean, Jay
Yeah.
definitely is my biggest inspiration. I mean, this guy is it's so beautiful, like, and the whole movie is just, and so wonderful. And his partner as well. I think what C also mentions in the movie is how there is no support for farmers. I think is a very important thing. It's a big issue, and it was beautiful that that was also pinpointed in your movie, um, because I think there should be more resources for farmers if they want to change.
Oh, for sure.
Their
Yeah.
life, but also if they want to be more sustainable, or not necessarily wanting to be part of this killing machine, but and where do you go? What do you do? So that was, I think, that what I love about the movie, especially what you're saying that you've done it in the 7 months, is you see the progress, you see it progressing, you see the whole process of what's going on with these people, and them, starting to realize, hey, I wanna do this differently. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really,
Yeah.
really, it's really great. And can people still see it at the moment, Alex? Like, can people still watch 73 Cows?
It's yeah, it's online, and I think we'll just stay online now. If you, it's on my website, and it's also on
Ah,
Mailchimp.com.
perfect, perfect.
Uh,
We'll
I
make
think if
sure that I'll put it in the notes with this episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good. But yeah, like you say, Jay is he's and Catcher. They're kind of trailblazers in that, as
Mm.
far as we know, they're the first people to do this in Britain,
Mm.
unless someone has done it and kind of tried to keep it quite private
Yeah.
because of not wanting to face a backlash or something. As far
Mm.
as we know, that Jay is the first farmer to do this, and as a result, he's almost got no path to follow,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully everybody that comes after him will find it easier because of what he's done in taking the risk that he's taken. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine how it would have felt to be him and be doing that for um, 20 years. He's been vegetarian and sending cows to the abattoir, uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it just shows how much your behavior is based on what is traditional and what's culturally acceptable, and how difficult it is to break free of those that kind of like institutionalized behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they, in terms of like getting support,
Yeah.
government wise, there is almost nothing. In fact,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there is nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so it just becomes this really daunting task, and often
Mm-hmm.
vegans are kind of put in the media as people who are against farmers, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's this whole like rhetoric behind the way that the vegan argument is
Mm.
played, that it's an anti-farming movement, which is completely not true.
Yeah.
Um, and hopefully, what people will be able to take from the film is that actually vegans need to work with
Yeah,
farmers.
exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that you are really emphasizing how trapped they are, like they want to change. They want to but well, what was he going to do? Like if he didn't like you can see that at some point like it's hitting him like, "Oh yeah, maybe I don't want to kill these cows, but then what am I going to do with them? And what am I going to do with all this land I have?" So I think that giving them more support in these issues that are so huge is amazing, and I'm so glad you documented it, because I hope more people will get something from it and change also their way of farming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be great. I mean, I think there are more farmers who have done it since.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether it's as a direct result of seeing Jay and
Mm-hmm.
Cat, but I know there's a farmer near me actually who he's given up his entire what did he have? I think he had sheep,
Mm.
and he's given all of them up. So hopefully, it is something that more and more farmers will
Yeah.
begin to sort of say, actually, we don't need to do this.
Yeah. And it's little, I think sometimes what I loved about watching Jay as well, you can see it in his eyes, like when he starts talking, like how it's changed. And Katja mentions that as well, like so you've seen a change in him. Like you can tell that, you just get this awakening moment of like, oh, what am I doing? Like these are beings, they are not just numbers or just products. They are actual beings. I think yeah, it's really that's a really wonderful thing about the movie. And so you are vegan, right, Alex?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And have you been? How long have you been vegan?
Um, I'm trying to think now. Maybe coming up to about a year and a half, 2 years, and then vegetarian longer. But I actually became vegan whilst filming 73
I just
Cows.
want to say, because this like sounds like this was in line with making a wonderful movie. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was heading that way anyway. Um, like I was becoming more and more aware of the arguments. And
Mm-hmm.
my wife is vegan, and um, it was something that I was sort of slowly progressing towards. But I think 73 Cows kind of doing the research for it just gave it that sort of kick. And funnily enough, you said you had Keegan on the other day.
Mm-hmm.
When I watched What the Health,
Mm.
it was that same day that I became vegetarian.
Mm.
Um, when I first became vegetarian, and
Yeah.
so what I think that kind of demonstrates in a nutshell is just how powerful documentary can
Yeah.
be.
Absolutely. It's a great documentary too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I just hope that like I can be a part of that in the future, and that when people watch sort of films that I intend to make, that they'll take those sort of messages from them and make positive changes in their own life. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to ever do anything that's like pushy and that says you need to do this, you should do that. But I think
Telling a
films,
story is beautiful, right? Like you're documenting someone telling a story, and I think that that's not at all pushy, but it's sharing a story. I think that that's so beautiful about, and that's so beautifully done in 73 Cows. Really, it's wonderful.
oh, thanks. I mean, Jay, um, you're talking about like telling the story, and you're just sort of filming somebody else tell the story. And one thing that amazed me was just how much of a natural storyteller Jay and Katja are.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not um, media trained people at all. They've never done sort of stuff like this, and they were just like so giving in terms of like doing the interview, and they were just willing to just trust in what we were doing. And it was great. And I think actually the fact that they're not kind of media trained, um, like so many of the corporate people that I used to make films with. Um, it just makes people more sincere because
Yeah.
they're not thinking, "Oh, how am I coming across? Oh, did
Yeah,
I fit
exactly.
the
Yeah.
wording? Am I on the message?"
Is my hair okay?
Yeah, yeah. And you just feel like you're watching real people,
Yeah,
and
but that's the element of it's real. There's a rawness to it that's really beautiful, actually. Yeah, totally. And it won a prize, right? Didn't you win a prize with it, Alex? Like with the movie?
a prize, did you say?
Or did you won an award or something? Like
Yeah, won the BAFTA for British short film.
awesome.
Yeah, which
I remember that. Didn't
it
you
was.
say you were on stage with is it like with one of the sons or something? Like
Oh,
from or was it another festival?
Prince William.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, he came round. I mean, it was this kind of meet and greet with all the winners, and he was just a really nice guy, and he'd made the effort to actually like watch the film, which I couldn't
Yeah,
believe.
cool.
I thought he'd just come up and say congratulations on the award and move on, but he managed to like um, talk for about 5 minutes with us about the film, which was I thought was really
That's
nice of him.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, really nice guy.
That's awesome. And so this was so the actual like coming out of the movie and everything, that is also nearly a year ago now, right? Or
Yeah,
like
yeah. About a year and a bit,
hmm.
I'd say.
And have you made movies? We were just joking about it before we started this interview about maybe you are not allowed to say everything about it, but are you working on other projects now, or have you made movies since 73 Cows?
Yeah, so I made a film called Test Subjects, which is around the subject of animal testing
Ah,
and,
good.
and its validity. And that was like a collaboration with PETA, as in
Mm,
the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
yeah.
I say that because sometimes people think I'm talking about somebody called PETA, and yeah,
Okay. Yeah, no, I
who?
got you. I got you, but I know who they are. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Um, and
Wow.
that was really good. So that's basically from the perspective of three scientists who have all tested on animals
Hmm.
and now all kind of seek to tell their stories about how
Wow.
they don't believe that it has any correlation with human
Awesome.
health and how
That's
it's
good.
just completely unjustified,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's out now, free to view for a limited time, I think. Um, but it is out now at testsubjectsfilm.com.
Okay. Cool.
And we've got a few more projects coming up. One with We Animals Media, which is about a environmentalist journalist called George Monbiot, who basically he's been talking about animal ethics and climate change for way before it was mainstream to talk about those things. And he was a big part in the Extinction Rebellion protests that happened in London.
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he actually ended up getting arrested sort of deliberately for it and faced a bit of a backlash, because there's lots of arguments on both sides of whether it's like necessary and whether it has an impact, that sort of form of activism. So this film is just kind of like exploring his attitude towards activism and just a kind of character study on him, really.
Mm.
Um, and then we've got a potential thing coming up, which I'm excited about, but I can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of until you're sort of signed on the dotted line, sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of under wraps a little bit. So,
Cool.
yeah,
But you got a few things happening then. That's awesome.
yeah,
Since and do you feel that 73 Cows has really created like a bit of a boom for you, or like created a path for you to make more movies?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if I hadn't have made that film, I'd probably still be making the corporate films.
Yeah.
It was like